So welcome back to session number 11 about object-oriented programming, attributes, constructors. And now in addition, we will talk about something which is very important in object-oriented programming, which is methods in classes. And as a starting point, we will always begin with an empty project. I hope you can see my stuff, and I hope you can see the screen as well. So I begin as usual with an empty project there. And as a starting point, I will begin to create a class with the name. There we go. Class with the name Jedi or something, Jedi Knight or something hero. I can call it hero as well. I can call it hero. I will call it hero this time, not Jedi or not Anakin Skywalker. I'm a big Star Wars fan, but okay. I call it hero. I will call it hero. And in addition, I will generate a class with the name. What could be? Let's create a zombie game. Let's make zombies. I will create a class with the name zombie. And the cool thing is, right after Christmas, we will make this stuff already graphical stuff. So we'll begin computer game oriented programming as well with really nice stuff and show you how this stuff works. Not just text, just really cool stuff. But we need the structure because this structure lays behind, and we need the structure for creating stuff. So we have a class hero. We have a class zombie, and as we know, we have one starting point, one control point in this overall project, which is the main program where our main method is called. The main method is always called main, as we know. In C#, sometimes it's a bit strange. There are functions which use small letters, not always capital letters as well. But as we know, when we're creating classes, we create classes with capital letters, we create classes with capital letters. And when we want to create attributes, we create attributes like this: public, let's give it a name, string name, and we give it another attribute, maybe int health points, or let's call it health, and we give it a third attribute, maybe public bool is alive. I always tend to generate stuff depending or focusing on game development, because I love game development, and in my opinion, game development offers so many nice possibilities to generate object-oriented stuff, which is really nice because all the huge computer games now are based on C# program stuff, and all the huge computer games now, and even most of the web applications and most of your applications on your mobile phone are based on this stuff. So that's why I love this C# stuff here. And the zombie, maybe I give the zombie kind of similar attributes, maybe like public. Maybe the zombie doesn't have a name. I can give it an ID. I can give it an ID, maybe like this, and I can give zombie maybe just health as well, public int health. I can give the zombie health, and the zombie can have maybe a special ability, or like this, public string special ability. And the cool thing is we can make this stuff graphical in quite soon time as well. So because I really want to see zombies, and I want to see zombies running around and catching me and trying to catch me and fighting zombies and whatsoever. And in order to generate a zombie and heroes and whatsoever, in order to create this stuff, I go back to my main function here, and I just uncomment this stuff and I create the hero, because I want to create the hero. And how do I create the hero? By typing the class name hero. I can call it this time, because I just have one hero, I can call the object hero. As we know already, the object is called with small letters, the class is called with huge letters. And no worries, you will have time afterwards to ask me many different stuff. And I want to create a new hero. That's why I call it with the basic constructor. The basic constructor. And as we learned from last time, we can create this stuff with constructors as well. So we can create constructors as well. So we wanna create zombies, for instance, or we want to create heroes. And how do we create zombies? Maybe we'll just create zombie say 1 equals new zombie, like this, just calling the basic constructor here, calling the basic constructor. The same is happening here as well. So calling the basic constructor. And the main thing is what we learned from last time is we want to create our own constructors. We want to create something when we initialize the class that we give the object a name, a health, and some other values. So we want to create constructors. We want to have something which initializes values for us. And how do we create constructors? We create a constructor by writing the class name and using it as a basic constructor. This is always the basic constructor. If you have difficulties from last time, just rewatch the video. That's the basic constructor, which doesn't do so much, but I can still give my basic constructor, I can still give it default values. I can tell, okay, I can tell my hero, if I just create an empty hero, that this empty hero should have the health of maybe 100, like this. Or I can say, okay, if I forgot to give my hero a name, I can give it a name as well. But we learned from last time how to create constructors. And no worries, we will always go like not too fast on you, just some other steps as well. If I want to create another constructor, we learned from last time, we can always create constructors and use constructors to initialize values. And if I want to create a constructor which takes in those three, or which sets those three values in my class, the name, the health, the is alive, I can create one like this. And how did we do it? I just used string name, comma, and as we know, this is just a copy, so I just use underscore, because it's like has nothing, this underscore name has nothing to do with name. As we know, inside of this is like a method, and it's like local copies of the stuff, so it just has nothing to do with the real values actually. And the next second one is and health maybe as a value, and this has nothing to do with the real health either. And the third one is who is alive, and I will give it underscore as well. This is just my version, how I learned it from my professor. That's why I'm using it like this. And I want to set the real values in my class. I want to set the value name. I want to set the value health. I want to set the value is alive. I want to set these values so I can access those values by typing name equals underscore name, which looks a bit odd, which looks a bit strange in the very beginning, but I will tell you exactly what happens afterwards again. That's why I'm using it. But the overall pipeline, what's happening with the values is very important. That's why we make it like this. And some people create constructors a bit different, and I will show you quite soon as well how we can create constructors as well in a different way. But just in the very beginning, I think, in my opinion, this is a very needful way to create constructors, because you have to understand what's going on. And if I want to call this constructor, and I will show you how to use it afterwards, and if I want to call it, I can use, instead of calling my hero here, I can create a hero. Maybe here, I just call it H1. I just call it hero again, because I just want to have one hero. That's why I uncomment. If I would have many heroes, of course, I would make different ones. But if I want to use my constructor here, I have in Visual Studio, I have two ways. And Visual Studio tells me I have the basic constructor, and I have another one, which takes name, health, and is alive. And of course, I can use console write line, console read line here. And of course, I can use some interaction here to get the values, but I'm just too lazy right now. And of course, you can do it and set in the values here. I just want to set the values myself. And those three values have to be the name, the health, the is alive, which is like the name is the string, health is an integer, and a Boolean. So I can type in, maybe the hero is called Anakin. That's my hero. My value, let's give it a health of 100. Let's give it 100. And my Boolean, the last one, is alive. So it should be true. Normally, this should be sufficient. So the cool thing when we're using a self-made constructor is we can initialize objects the way we want to initialize it. So that's why when we create a new hero now, all the values created in the very first step are sent to my constructor. So Anakin, 100, and true. Those three values are sent to my main class, which is hero in this case. So Anakin will be copied in here, 100 will be copied in here, and true will be copied in here. They are just local copies. And Anakin will be afterwards copied to this position. And then I can access the attribute in my class, which has the name. And then I have 100, which is copied to the attribute health, and so on. So when using this afterwards, and of course I can write out some names. Of course, I could write like console.writeLine like this, and I could write maybe hero.name. Then I would get, as a result, I would get my Anakin, of course, because now I can access all the values which I just initialized. So I have my Anakin here. That's as a first step. So we used constructors in the very beginning, and we use constructors in a different way. And of course, I can create a constructor here in zombie as well. I can create that as well. So I can use a zombie constructor, maybe zombie like this. I would always just use public zombie and using a constructor here, basic constructor. When you think about creating constructors, please be advised that you always should create a basic constructor, always. And I would always create the basic constructor in the very beginning, basic constructor, like this. Maybe the basic constructor tells me that the health is 0. I don't know. It's not that important. But if I just create an empty zombie, I could say, okay, the zombie has no health. The zombie has no special ability. I could write the zombie has no special ability. Could write like this, which is very popular in all different kinds of programming. I type in the word none, which is nothing. And I could give it the ID. If I forget the ID to set, I could give the ID the name like 0, something like this, or 0, 0, 0, whatever. Doesn't matter. It's just it's just important for you guys that to show you if we have to have some default values. But of course, if I want to create a zombie, and if I want to use a constructor to create a zombie, I can create a zombie like this. First, I use as a basic structure the constructor again, basic constructor, but now I would use maybe I create a constructor for the ID, and the ID is like a string, as I remember correctly, and ID equals underscore ID, like this. So I can create the constructor which just takes the ID, and of course, I can create a constructor which takes ID and health. Of course, I can use this as well. Health. If you forget this underscore, it's not so important because it's just a local copy anyway. So, in my opinion, when it comes to mobile applications, when it comes to game development, there are two different ways to create constructors. In mobile applications and in applications generally, you should always have all different sorts of constructors because people use applications in many different ways. When it comes to computer development, or like game development, there's normally just a basic constructor, and there's normally like a constructor which is called with all different values in the very beginning. So it's not in game development, there are not so many different variants of using a constructor. But if I want to create a hero now, if I want to create a zombie now, I can create zombies now, and I can create zombies in different ways. I can create a zombie. I can create an empty zombie. I can still create an empty zombie, but I can also create zombies like this, that I not creating an empty zombie. I create zombie which has different ways of creating it. And if I use Visual Studio again, I can see that I can switch between those constructors. So I want to use my empty now. I don't want to use my ID zombie. I want to use a zombie, or I want to create a zombie which has an ID and has health. And I can give it an ID. Maybe I just give it like the chosen zombie, or chosen one. The chosen one. Sounds like Matrix. Is like Matrix, chosen one. It's a bit such Star Wars as well. It's fine. And maybe this one has like more health than the other ones. Like this. We can. And of course, afterwards, we can create a huge amount of zombies, or we can create a random amount of zombies, and we can create lists of zombies and whatsoever. We will deal with this, of course. But that was kind of the summary from last time. But now with the new input for today, maybe our hero wants to have some functionalities. Maybe our hero has some things he can do. What can my hero? My hero can do. What can my hero do? What is my hero able to do? Maybe my hero is able to fight. Maybe my hero is able to punch. Maybe my hero is able to drive. Bless you. Maybe my hero is able to lose, to die, whatsoever. And I will begin with something. We already learned to write methods, like to write functions. And if we write functions in a class, functions in a class are called methods. So maybe we remember functions, and I just write an easy function. This is like a function inside a class. A function inside a class is called method. So functions inside classes are called methods. Here we go. So maybe my hero has a functionality, a function, a method with the name die. Let's begin with this. And when my hero dies, I could write something like, so console, write line. We begin very easy, of course. You died. You died. Goodbye. Or hasta la vista. Let's say hasta la vista, baby. Hasta la vista, baby. That's it. And maybe I wanna set my health to 0. I wanna set my health to 0. Maybe like health is equal 0 now. So every time I die, let's begin from backwards. Every time I die, it should be right. Hasta la vista, baby. Game over. Game over. You die. Health is 0. Your actual health is now blah blah. Whatever. Let's see the first thing. And this could be the how should we test it? Yeah, we could say, okay, if my hero dies, let's just try it out. Hero.die. So if we want to call a function now, we go to the object, and my hero object is called hero. And if I want to call the function now, there should be a function, but I don't see the function. So what's wrong here? There's nothing wrong. The only thing we have to do is we should write public again. Because if we want to access stuff from outside, we have to write public. And if I write public now, public die. I have my function die. And I can access it with parentheses. As we know, functions should always be called with parentheses. And then when my hero dies, the health is set and this function is called. So if I call this function now, if I call it, let's see, call it. Hasta la vista, baby, game over. So first step. But I don't want to die in the very beginning of my game. That's just useless. So if I want to, maybe I call my zombie Darth Vader. Let's call my zombie or Darth. That's enough. Or now let's call him something stronger than Darth Vader. Arnold. Let's call him Arnold. And maybe I create another zombie. Maybe I create another zombie, and my zombie has the name, not Arnold, has the name John. Easy. And this zombie has no health of 1,000, just health of 10. Maybe just a very, very weak zombie. Okay. And I could just write an if statement. I could just write, okay, if my hero fights against the zombie Arnold, then he will die. But if my hero fights against John, he won't die. Maybe he just wins something else. So the next step for us to create something could not just be a die function. Maybe it could be just a win function, or maybe it just could be change health points, a lose function, whatever function. So maybe the next step we could write, and I just copy this stuff as well, of course. Here we go. Here we go. Like public die, and not I just can and change it to something else. Maybe I can call it win. I just call it win. So maybe when I win, my health points are improving and my health points are increasing. So maybe every time I win, I just increment my health points. And how can I do that? So every time I win, my health points should be incremented or should be increased. So I can write, for instance, I could write something like this: health equals health plus 20, whatsoever. Not so important. And of course, that's like the easy version of what we could do. And of course, we could write health plus equals 20. That's the same code for the same stuff. But in my opinion, the first version is always easier to understand. The new health is the old health plus 20. So which just tells me add 20 to my health, or in computer games or generally everywhere in programming, I could just increment or increase the value by 20. Instead of writing health is equals plus 20, I could write health plus equals 20. And of course, there's like minus equals and multiplied equals and divided equals. There's all the different versions, but mostly, like in 80% of all occasions, I would use plus equals, which is very important. And of course, if I just want to add plus 1, of course, I could just write health plus, which is also possible, but I don't use it now. So I want to win. So every time I win, my health should be increased by 20. And I want to display my new health. So you won, your new health is, and I can access my health by just typing health. The typical mistake here, what many people do, they write something like hero.health or something, hero.health, which is nonsense, because I'm already referring to my class. I'm referring to myself, so I don't have to type in some object. So I'm able to access all the different attributes in my class. So I can write some stuff like this, new class. So every time, and I can just copy this stuff. Maybe I want to create a function which has the name lose. So I want to lose some stuff, and I want to just lose 20 lives like this. And you lost some lives, lost. The new health is life. And of course, I could add something in addition, something with health. If health is less than 0, something like this, I could call the die function. Because if I have less than 0 lives, I'm dying. I could always use like this. So the cool thing with functions is you can call functions from where to another. You can call functions from different places as well. So if I want to lose something. And if I just lose a fight against the wrong zombie, then I just lose some lives. But if I want to win, there's something else. So I can test this stuff, of course. I can test it by maybe just creating if statements, something like this. Let's do it like if here, if I can make it a bit nicer, of course. Let's do a game, or let's ask. Of course, we could ask something. Let's make a fight. Do you want to fight? Or let's fight. Let's fight. Against whom are you fighting? Let's make a bit of a simulation. Not really, but it's okay. And then I can write enemy equals console.readline. And as you know, I really like game development. That's why I always try to make examples depending on game development like this. And I could, of course, do something like this. If enemy equals, let's say John. If my enemy is John, something like this. My hero, John is a very weak character. Let's say my hero wins. Something like this. It's just about the structure. If my enemy equals is maybe Arnold, like this, I lose, like this. And I can, of course, I can create another one. Zombie number 4. And let's give it like a super zombie, like a Yoda. Yoda has like so many lives. So Yoda. And if my enemy is Yoda, Yoda is just the strongest one. Instead of losing, I am dying. Like this. Here we go. Just a very simple structure, but of course should be easy to understand what's happening. And of course, I could write, okay, if my zombie has the name blah blah. Of course, I could use set2.name, set3.name, but I just wanted to make it like a bit lazier, and I just wanted to show what's happening, because that's why it's so important. Let's see what's happening if I didn't work something, and let's fight against fighting. Let's say Yoda. Hasta la vista, game over. But if I fight against Arnold, let's see. Arnold, that's it. You lost. Your new health is 80. And of course, I can create different stuff here already and make different ways already, of course. And if you have understood the structure here already, you can begin typing some stuff. Yeah, it's possible. But that's what's still very useful for us is creating another or different. We will create many different versions of methods in the future. And a very important method for most of all the object-oriented cases is a method called print stats, or a method called print data, or a method called print all user data whatsoever. Very important, and nearly everywhere we have methods called print stats. In game development, most of the time it's called print stats. So public void. If you don't remember what void was, please look up the version of the video with the different return values, but we will deal with it anyway. As you can see, we're combining more and more stuff from the last sessions. So a very popular method is print data or print stats, which is very important for everywhere. It doesn't matter if it's like game development or web development or application development or just ordinary object-oriented programming. You should always have a method with the name print data, print customer data, print whatsoever. The cool thing is, and I think you might have understood already, when you're creating methods, you can always access all the attributes in the class. You can always access all the attributes in the class. So by writing methods in the class, you can always access directly all the attributes, which is very useful in many different cases. So maybe I can write something like your name plus name. So I can directly access name, even though it's somewhere else. It's somewhere here. Here it is. It's somewhere here, but still I can access it everywhere. You can see it as like a global variable. Your name, your health, your name, your health, here, right, health. And what is the third one? Is alive. Is alive. Let's see. Is alive. Let's try it like this. We will experience something here. When we die, we could set the is alive to false. Is alive. We set the is alive to false because we're not alive anymore. So that's why we set it to false. Could do that because it will show us something. And when we call the functions, every time we win, we could write something hero dot print data. Of course, we could, and it doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter really where we call print data function. I would call it after the win, after the lose, whatsoever. Some people would, every time they call the win function, the lose function, whatsoever, they would call the print data at the very beginning or at the very end. In my opinion, the print data has nothing to do with the lose. The print data has nothing to do with the win or the die. So I will call it separately here in the main. I will call it separately, which is important because in my opinion, it makes more sense. But of course, there are other programmers out there, they would make it in a different way. Let's call it. And what happens now? Let's see, Anakin. Let's print the print data in the very beginning as well, that we see the difference. Here's my Anakin. Here we go. Here. Let's call it. Let's call it. And we have like, yeah. Anakin, your health is 100. Your health is true. It's just formatted in a very bad way. Let's fight. Against whom are you fighting? Let's fight against Yoda. Let's see. If I fight against Yoda now, it's like, hasta la vista, baby, game over. Your name was still Anakin. All of a sudden, the health is 0 and the health value is set to false. Now we just change it that it's like formatted in a bit nicer way, of course. Here and here and here, like this. And change it. And your name, blah, blah, blah. Your health 100, your health true, and it can. Let's fight against whom are you fighting? Let's call it John. Let's call him John. If I'm fighting against John, you won. Your new health is 120. Your name was Anakin. Your health is now 120, and your health is true. But maybe I want to fight again. So maybe I can use go-tos here. Maybe I could use go-to. When I die, let's call it like let's just do it. Let's make it very easy. Fight. I call it fight. Let's like this. I want to fight all the time. Okay. I want to fight until the end. And if I type in, yeah, it doesn't matter. Go to fight. Go to fight. Here, go to fight. So, because I just wanted to fight all the time, because I want to jump up there. And if I want to lose, and if I'm losing, let's say if I'm losing, I'm just return 0 or console dot, or I can just exit environment dot exit. I can write it like this. I just want to exit the whole application. As we know, environment dot exit means closes the application. And when I die, I just want to close everything. I can use this. So when I'm simulating my fights now, let's fight against whom are you fighting? I can choose whether I'm fighting against John, against Arnold, against Yoda. And let's see what happens. Okay. If I have programmed some crap or not. See? Your health. Let's fight. Against whom am I fighting? I'm fighting against John. If my health is now 120, then I'm fighting against Arnold. Let's see. I'm fighting against Arnold again, maybe. Then I'm fighting against Arnold again. Arnold. Then I'm fighting against John again. Here you go. But then all of a sudden, Yoda jumps out of the bushes and I have to fight Yoda. And hasta la vista, baby. Jesus Christ, Yoda has just killed me. And when I'm Yoda, why didn't I see my Yoda? Print data. Let's see. Dying environment exist. Yeah. So when we die, when I die, the complete stuff is closing. So I just should print the data before I close the application. There you go. And I die. So let's simulate it in the last step. Simulate it again. Let's simulate it. Okay, let's fight against John. Okay, John is easy. Fight against John again. Let's think about generating random zombies with different ways. And if I have to meet the highest zombie, then I'm just dying. But when in the very end, when I am just fighting against Arnold, okay, Arnold, here we go. But then in the very step, I fight against Yoda, and then Yoda, your health is set, and I'm dying. So this is how we, in the very beginning, how we generate methods in the very beginning in classes. So of course you can write stuff like this. So as we know already, what's a class? What's an attribute in the class? What's a constructor in the class? To initialize different values of a constructor. And now what was new? How to write methods in classes. And of course we will write more and more advanced methods in the future as well. But just today, how methods are written, this is just the first step. But please be advised, if you create classes, just try to write some stuff like this. And just try to include methods like print data, methods like dying or ending or closing or winning or whatsoever. And never forget, a class and a constructor, they both have full access to the attributes in the class. So I can use my attribute health in all different methods. And I can use name, for instance, in all the constructors and in all methods as well. So thanks for today and see you next time.